Well, we're back. We're a day early recording, and it's because the craziest NBA trade of all time just happened. We are recording this at 8:30 on Sunday morning, and the rest of this will be recorded later tonight after the first part of this. But Adam and we brought on Evan Soell, host of Entertainment Sports with Evan Soell, to talk about this, which we'll get into just the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade. The headline, of course, being Luka going to LA. But we'll get into that here in a little bit, but I don't want to waste any more thoughts before we get into it. So let's bring in our friends from Green Top. I am running on 4 hours of sleep. I am lackluster right now because I was up too late and then I woke up too early because my wife had to go to work early this morning. So I might not be speaking in coherent sentences here in a second. But Adam, let's start here. The big news that happened at around 11 o'clock last night. Luka Doncic is now a Los Angeles Laker and Anthony Davis is now a Dallas Maverick. First, what was happening whenever I sent you the X or the post on Twitter or whatever you want to call it? I hate it, but what were you doing?
I was watching highlights of unrivaled games, actually, and I was sitting there honestly, just doing nothing. I'd eaten dinner, had a little dessert, and I was just honestly kind of unwinding for the night. And I'm a big trying to watch the screen time guy, it's we're all just on our phones way too much. We were talking about this before we started recording, and I talk about that with the players I coach all the time, and I actually deleted Twitter this morning or yesterday morning. I was like, you know what, this is one that I'm just it's not really bringing any positivity to my life. I'm like, let's just kind of get rid of it. And then had to re-download it because I was like, all right, come on, this can't be. So you were the first person that sent it to me, and then immediately I had other group chats that were like, wait, is this real? From the moment I saw that, I don't think I got off my phone until I fell asleep about 3 a.m. So just the amount of people that texted, called, group chat. I mean, I sent y'all this one about this guy who was like, I haven't spoken to my father in 8 years, and he's texting me about this. And it's that's really what it felt like. It was this monumental NBA moment. Unbelievable. I mean, just so many thoughts, but I'll let Evan go because that was, so you were the first person that pointed out, and then from then on it was just head down to the phone and just trying to wrap my head around it for the next 4 or 5 hours. It was crazy.
I am the Shams to some people's own life because some people don't have X or Twitter or whatever. Evan, you woke up to the news. You fell asleep earlier last night as a smarter man and did not stay up later like the rest of us. Waking up to this news. This isn't the first time you've woke up to a big NBA acquisition. What first emotions, first thoughts waking up this morning?
Yeah, so I go to bed 10:45 last night on a Saturday night. That's a huge win for me. And if I had stayed up 20 minutes later, then I would have been up until Sunday morning. Luckily I fell asleep early, woke up this morning and scrolling through all my notifications, and I see all the different podcasts that got uploaded on a Sunday morning. I'm like, what's all this about? And then I see all the texts come through, and I've got a text from all of my different NBA fan friends, and they're like, did you see this? Is this? And it's all of the same stuff. I'm like, and then I see just the headline, Luka AD trade reactions on ESPN. I'm like, that's ridiculous. This can't be happening right now. And it was a genuine moment of shock. I was just scrolling I was just mute scrolling on Twitter, just trying to absorb as much information as possible. I certainly felt behind the ball and that I'd missed an entire world event. I mean, this is crazy. This would be, I was thinking about it, trying to put myself in the shoes of Mavs fans. Obviously things aren't super all the same, but this would be like me waking up to Shea getting traded.
It's very similar, but I think
genuinely, no, it would be
the young cornerstone of your franchise, and a top 5 player in the league who's in MVP conversations every year, just gone.
No,
it's crazy.
I would feel now, and again, similar situation. I know Tatum's nowhere near Doncic's talent or anything like that, but it'd be the same thing for me. If like,
Yeah.
and for Adam, if Wemby got traded, that'd
be at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Unreal.
At least Evan and I's guys are like same age basically as Luka. But I totally agree. So I was watching. This is what I was doing. I was watching Gonzaga St. Mary's on my TV in my bedroom. My wife is asleep next to me. I have Suns Blazers on my phone I'm watching. And I'm like, you know what? It's about time for bed. I'm going to put my phone down and just watch the end of this half of Gonzaga St. Mary's. And then the second I put my phone on the charger, I get the notification that Shams had a tweet. I was like, oh, let's see what this is. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, it's probably like a Brandon Ingram or a De'Aaron Fox or some another PJ Tucker trade that we got earlier in the day that meant nothing except for Jazz got another trade yesterday. And then I see that it's Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic, and I'm like, there is no shot. And it was so funny. The first text I got from anyone, Evan, was from our friend Logan Ball. And Logan texted me. He's like, is this real? And I went into full skeptical mode. And yeah, it's like we said. It's just like the fact that Shams had to like qualify it and basically say, yeah, this is real. Like that shows like I tweeted it last night or from our Hooper's Almanac account. I don't think there's ever been more skepticism about an account being hacked like there was last night. I think that was just all across the board, just crazy. And I mean, yeah, like we said, the cornerstone of your team being traded for, granted, it is a top 20 player in Anthony Davis, but this is a guy who last year led you to the NBA Finals. That's nuts. That's nuts, right?
25 years old. I mean, this is going to be like your friend. This is going to be your Dirk Nowitzki. This is going to be the next guy for the Mavericks. And the only there just must have been really, really big concerns with his commitment to the team, whether he was, threatening a trade request in the offseason or after he gets his potential supermax, if he was ever even threatening a trade request, or they were just really worried about his overall physical health and his commitment to himself and to the team. But those have got to be some really serious concerns for you to even consider putting him on the table.
Consider it. Yes.
Yeah. It's all really mind boggling to me. I would love to be inside the head of the upper management for the Mavericks, the GM. I saw the video clip rolling around that people were reposting from after they had won the Western Conference Finals against the T-Wolves. Yeah. And he was drinking that beer and the GM came around and literally took it out of his hands, in the middle of the celebration.
It's Michael Finley, right? That
right.
pulls it out of his hands. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, and so
we should have known then.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should. Well, so Tim McMahon was the constant Dallas guy that keeps everyone up to date in Dallas. He was the one who tweeted that Nico Harrison basically just said that I believe defense wins championships, and I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're built to win now and in the future. Sir, you had a 25-year-old man who is creating your only offense in the playoffs last year at some points, and that was your future. I just don't get it, Adam.
No, man, I'm still, it's so funny. I'm as we're recording, I'm seeing all these just things scroll in. One of the guys was not awake last night in our group chat. He's not responding to all these things. It's hilarious. But
Aaron, and our buddy Aaron is doing the same thing this morning.
Same. He was not awake. But I also was I'm very much a night owl, but I was like, oh, I'm probably not gonna stay up crazy late tonight. I was kind of feeling myself, winding down, and I was just wired. I was this is just I was energized. This is such a crazy moment. I had a former player call me. He's a huge Mavs fan. He's a lawyer in Dallas now, and I actually went to a Mavs playoff game with him last year. And just loves Luka and all this stuff. And he was almost I could tell he was shaking. He was just and after 5 minutes, he was man, I need to go. He's like I feel physically ill. He's like he was I'm just gonna go. And I was like, all right, man, hope you're all right. I was like, it's just devastating. He's like, I'm not sure. He's like, I'll watch the NBA forever. He's like, but I'm not sure I can root for the Mavs anymore. He's like, wow, this is unbelievable. I
had a similar. So texted a buddy of mine from college, another St. Louis guy. His name, he grew up in Dallas, but he moved to St. Louis and now lives in Milwaukee. But anyways, guy named Jack Pollard. And I texted him like, all right, so what are your thoughts on this? And he's like, I don't think I can consider myself a Mavs fan at this point. I think a part of me literally died last night. And
Man,
I was like, this, he's
That's
like, I don't know if there's a
heartbreaking.
worse NBA trade. I'm like, that is so like emotionally like toll. It has to be such an emotional toll for sure. Evan, I compared it to in my head was like whenever the Cardinals did not try to sign Albert Pujols and he just went to the Angels. And like
Yeah, that's
again,
good.
not like the Cardinals traded for him. I mean, traded him away or anything like that. But like that's like the only like thing I could like compare it to in our lives. Just like
Yeah,
we had like the best player of the 2000s probably, and like the Cardinals just let him go, and that's what it feels like the Mavs did, and of course at a younger age and with so much more potential than what we with potential at the wazoo that we're waiting to see.
yeah. At least like for us in that scenario, like we knew that like him leaving was an option. Like that was on the
Right.
yeah,
table.
yeah,
Mavs
Absolutely.
fans, NBA fans. I mean, you see even NBA players like the Suns reacting to it on the bench last night. Like
that was awesome. Yeah,
nobody saw this coming. I mean, even like the rest
yeah,
of the NBA didn't know it was coming. You know, like you hear reports. I don't know how true they are or whatever, but like that most of the league didn't even know that this trade was
Yeah.
happening or Luka was even available. It's like why wouldn't the Mavericks at least do themselves like the honor of like getting the best deal possible, or like was this just like a I don't know
yeah.
why was there so much rush to it?
And I think that's something we can get into like at the end because I want to talk about just like what teams could have been like better suitors for Luca. But I also and because I think Adam, I was thinking about it. Think about Lakers history now. This is what the sixth probably time they've gotten a top 10, top 15 player in the league at the time. Not maybe top 5 player because they got Wilt. They trade for Wilt. They trade for Kareem.
Mm-hmm.
They trade for Shaq.
They just signed Shaq. Yeah, he was just a free agent. That was
Oh,
just yeah. I mean,
right.
but they've done that. I mean, over and over. It's like
And then
how did they
LeBron and
sustain?
80, and then
Yes,
now this.
and now Luca, and a bunch of like pretty good players in between. You know, like Powell. I mean, like guys
Right.
who are like
Yeah.
not all time greats, but like right there. You know, Hall of Famers. I mean, and it's just like how do they keep doing this? It's like there's this pull. Like someone said last night, they were like, "There's this." The NBA history just kind of bends towards the Lakers. You know,
Mhm.
it's like even when they're like mismanaged and all this stuff, like they get LeBron. You know, now they do seem to be like under a little bit better footing. You know, now obviously than they were in 2018. But it's still like you wouldn't call it like the marquee like organization in sports, like in terms of just
No.
how they're run. You know, from the front office down. But it's LA and it's tons of prestige, and you know, Luca loves LeBron. So if there was a scenario where he was like, "Hey," but he obviously didn't say, "Come, trade me." But if there was some sort of like I'm not going to sign the Supermax. And they were like, well, we have to get ahead of this right this second
Yeah.
because if it gets out, then we have no leverage. If it gets out that he's not signing a Supermax, then we don't have as much
Yeah.
leverage. But I don't know if I agree with that because even if you're like a San Antonio or a Houston that has like tons of things to trade, I mean, maybe you just say, well, we'll take a chance on it, and we got him for at least a couple of years, and then we'll just hopefully like make an impression and we're winning enough that he wants to stay. You know, we'll pair him with our young guys, or we'll pair him with Wemby, and maybe he'll want to stay. I don't know, man. I like the fact that it was like Windhorst called it a pocket transaction. Like it was just like two guys who just exchanged phone numbers and were like, "We're doing this deal. I don't really care if the other 28 teams even have any clue that it's happening." And obviously they didn't. It's just incredible. Like I've never seen anything like this in sports. We were trying to come up with other sports parallels. Like
No,
I brought up the Gretzky trade because it's like that's like what you have to go to think about it.
Yeah,
and it's crazy because like it's the return back for the all time
Yes.
great because I texted you about this. I think the only NBA trade that could be anywhere near similar was the Aguirre for Dantley for with the Mavericks and the Pistons in the late '80s. But even then, it's not like Aguirre was a top 3 player and then
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Dantley wasn't a top 20 player at that point in the NBA. He was insane early on, but not at that point. So it's just like there is no NBA comparison, and I don't think there is a true sports comparison.
Mm-mm.
I think one of my favorite things of the night was trying to say like, all right, put this in like people tweeting, all right, put this in NFL or MLB or NHL terms, and
Yeah.
I think one of the ones I saw was imagine Lamar Jackson gets traded for Joe Burrow, and I'm like, is that even? And I was like, I don't
I
even
don't
know
even
if
think.
that's
that's
Yeah.
not
No.
even.
I don't. I don't think so. Yeah, it's like those guys are still in like a similar age band. It's like that.
Right.
That's just that's the craziest part. And what's a little bit of a bummer, and I'm on the higher end of AD fans, just like over the course of his whole career, but is like how much he's getting kind of crapped on this. Like, oh man, he's been traded for a bag of chips, and it's like, okay, like it's just like a top
Anthony
thing,
Davis
but
is still very good.
yeah, and he's still really good. I was like, but he is injury prone, and he's obviously much older. So it's like it's not to me. It's not about the return for right now. Like that has nothing to do with it. It's the age, and that he was, like you said, Evan. He's going to take you into the next 10 to however many years of your franchise's history, and it's like you just punted on that for what? Like he took you to the finals last year, like 7 months ago. Like
Crazy.
I just don't even understand. It would have made more sense after the year prior, where they had missed the play-in altogether, and it was like, man, there's some concerns over his injuries, and I mean, yeah, he made 5 straight All NBA first teams for the in years 2 through 6. There are people like all-time legends who never did that at any point in their career, made 5 straight All NBA first teams. Like this is just like completely stunning. Like I keep using that word with everybody. It's like I'm just stunned. Like it's like hard to believe at first, and I still am like trying to wrap my head around it. It's like, why? I mean, you try to come up with a couple rationalizations, but you're like, still, like, I don't know. Like, why would you do this? It's just absolutely stunning.
Here's my thing. So LeBron obviously signed off on this, right? Like, there's no way this trade happens without LeBron.
There's a tweet that said he was informed of this while he was at dinner after the game with his family in New York.
Yes,
he was in New York at dinner with his family, and he did not know about it.
He gave that post-game interview where he called AD their best player. Did you see that? Like after the Knicks game, he was like, yeah.
And then
like,
someone
it was like an hour before it happened.
Who was it? Someone sent it in one of our group chats, Adam, and maybe it might have been. Yeah, it was some CBS guy who could shut up. Basically said that LeBron has been growing frustrated with AD, and then LeBron quote tweeted and saying that's an effing lie. Yeah. So my thought is, I don't know how much LeBron knows.
I don't think he did. Yeah, I really don't.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me because everybody.
But then Anthony Davis already. But Anthony Davis was awake and knew it was happening. Once he found out it was happening, he waived his trade kicker, so that basically like the Mavs could save some money and get do another move if they want to.
Yeah.
So
anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to. Off of the research I've done in the past hour, that was not part of my research. I just assumed LeBron was involved in all this, and it's funny,
right. One would assume, yes, but no, I don't think he was. Yeah,
okay, and like it's hilarious, just like the irony, like it was Anthony Davis did that whole like official sit down press or interview with was it Malika Andrews or somebody from ESPN maybe, where he was like lobbying for the Lakers to trade for a center and like saying that they need to go back to their roster construction from the 2020 title team. And it's like a week later, just gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And now he's got a center and Gafford.
Yeah, he's got two really good centers.
Yeah, Lively comes back, I think, in a month or a little longer than that, so that would be nice. But then I'm thinking, okay, quickly, let's talk about roster creation here. I mean, like, what it looks like now. So the Mavericks, it's Kyrie, Clay, PJ Washington. And then if Anthony Davis really wants to play the 4, Anthony Davis, then Daniel Gafford.
Yeah.
Not bad, but
no, I mean that's like that's a pretty awesome 5. I mean, it's just like. Yeah, and Perkins had a thing, of course. It's like this, yeah. He was like, I think Dallas won the trade.
Evan talked about it before we got on here. I have catered my Twitter so I don't have to listen to Kendrick Perkins anymore.
What did he say? What did he say, Adam?
He said they won the trade. He was like, AD and Kyrie is going to be unreal. Like, Luka, like they weren't like the best fit and all this stuff. It's like, man, yeah, you're missing the point entirely. It's not about right now. Like, people have talked about like Paul Pierce was something like, I don't like the fit between Luka and LeBron. I said that like is completely irrelevant. Like
that's for like 2 years.
Yes, it's like that. Yeah, that's a max like a year and a half. Like I'm there's no point. That does not matter at all. For the Lakers, to me, this is like a grand slam home run.
Absolutely.
You got a guy who's 25, made 5 straight All NBA first teams, and you barely had to mortgage anything from your future to do it. Like you didn't have to tank. You didn't have to tank. You obviously had to give up Anthony Davis, and like again, that's not nothing. But like, wow, I mean, you do this 100 times out of 100 if this is offered to you.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it was offered to them is crazy. Like,
I know they didn't have to seek it out. Yeah.
That's what was crazy. Zach Lowe apparently just woke up and found out everything, and he said, "Let me tell you, a currently on sabbatical NBA person's phone has never been blown up like this." And he said he just gives some of the random texts he's gotten. He's like, three of the texts he's gotten is what a terrible deal. What's going on? I'm in complete shock. And then the last one, which he said is his favorite, is what the fuckity fuck. And so I think that was a lot of not only just NBA fans, some NBA players. I mean, we saw Maxey, Halliburton, and then of course, like we said, the Suns on the bench reaction. Chauncey Billups, I don't know if you guys saw that reaction. He found same game, found out, and his face of just bewilderment was just hilarious to me too. So, it's an absolutely stunning trade, and I don't think, like we've said, it's not there's nothing comparable to it, and it's so funny. So
yeah, you just don't do this. I mean, this just never happens.
And like we said earlier, you do yourself the service of like going out and seeing if there's better options, which is what I want to get into now. Because you, Adam, you brought up the two Texas teams, which in my head I'm like, all right, if you're Dallas, do you trade within the same state? And I'm like, do you do it with like teams that you've considered rivals? But maybe at that point, it's like whatever you can get for Luka. Because I know there's like the plethora of picks at San Antonio and some younger guys I could throw out there. But like outside of San Antonio and Houston, like we've discussed, but like what, Evan, like is there any other team that came to mind that like you could have just said, all right, hey, here's a crap ton for Luka?
I mean, the Thunder have a crap ton. I mean, the Thunder could have they could have given like they have everything. That's what I'm surprised by. Like the Mavericks know that there's all these teams that have so much more value. Not that Anthony Davis doesn't bring a lot of value, but like value for the future. Like you leverage your entire future by trading Luka Doncic, and you'd like to get some sort of guarantee for a secure future in return. And it's like they didn't really get that. And so, you think of teams like the Thunder who have all of these draft picks, or the Pelicans, even the Nets. Like, I don't know. And the Rockets are probably a team that have like a lot of like young assets now, as do the Thunder. Obviously the Spurs would have loved to have paired Wemby with Luka, but it's like, how much do you have to give up to make that happen?
I would give up everything.
It doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you pair Luka and Wemby, it's like, I mean, man, I love Steph Castle and like the promise he's shown so far, but like, I mean, is he ever going to make a first team All NBA, much less 5 in a row?
Never.
Like, I just don't. It's just unbelievable.
Well,
I mean,
compare it to like the Kevin Durant trade, which they got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, whatever, 4 draft picks, and I was like, seriously, this is. I mean, listen, again, like we said, Anthony Davis, very freaking good, very very talented. And Mikal Bridges probably isn't on his level at that point, but like, what on
Mikal
earth?
Bridges went for more himself.
Right,
5 first-round picks.
That's right. But like, I was thinking of
like what team is most upset right now that they didn't get a call from the Mavericks?
Oh, probably the Spurs. Yeah. I feel like the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs have been in on like they're going to probably be in on the De'Aaron Fox trade, which, if I'm reading the tea leaves right here, there's a 5-team trade about to happen with the Spurs and the Kings, and that includes Brooklyn, Atlanta, and LA. So apparently LA is also not done. But I saw like a bunch of like reporters tweeting about it last night before which made me think it was gonna be the Fox trade. Whenever. Okay. Anyways.
The dominoes are about to start to fall. I mean, now that happened.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah.
I think the one team, man, that you could have like taken a call on, is Joel Embiid like worth your time if you're Dallas?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, if all you have to give up is like, some decent players maybe, but like not for Luka Doncic. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, Russillo had a tweet. I listened to a little bit of their emergency one. It was Russillo, Simmons, and Mahoney, which was a good trio. They had to have Mahoney. He's a Dallas guy, but and he's awesome. But Russillo said, I don't care if something like, I don't care if Luka's like lighting up a cig at like half court while dribbling the ball down the floor. Like, you just don't trade him. Like, you just don't trade him. It's just crazy.
Someone was talking about, I don't remember who in the three of them was saying that, like, I think it might have been Simmons said that he's apparently he weighed in recently at 270, and Russillo was like, I don't care if he's 370. I still want him dribbling up and down my court.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
like conditioning issues. Like, I mean, this would have made more sense if like something like truly horrible, like story came out about him.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to like say what it like possible. But it was
No,
like
right.
conditioning issues. Like what? Like
That's a
I
fixable issue.
it's unreal.
Well, maybe not because it's been 5 years, but still, you're right.
I know, but you don't. Yeah.
It like hasn't mattered. Yeah, it's like it just hasn't mattered.
Can I state something that's or sorry, the only other team I thought about was Orlando. Was like, could Orlando have just sent like Franz,
yeah.
and they have some draft picks they could have sent, but again, like
even then,
I don't know.
Like just nothing makes sense. It's crazy the ripple effects that the panic moves that the Aaron Wiggins 41-point game caused last night. The Western Conference just went into a spiral last night after that. How are we going to compete?
What are we going to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one final thought about all of this. Do we worry now about the Kyrie Irving part of everything? Because like there was a comfortability, I feel like, in Dallas with what was going on and being with Luka. Am I the only one that's having like flashbacks to everything that happened within the past 5 years with Kyrie? Like we've had a year and a half of calm Kyrie. It's felt like I'm now concerned we're running towards something.
Well, I wonder. I mean, again, this is just total because it's like this is what this inspires, just like conjecture. But like, I mean, maybe he's gone to Nico Harrison and be like, hey man, I'm only going to play like 3-4 more years. Like I got a bunch of interest outside of basketball. Like, so like, yeah, sure. But I mean, again, nobody was in on this. Like no stars were in on this. Like they're all just as shocked as we are. But I mean, maybe he said that at some point. So that's Nico Harrison. Like, okay, maybe get somebody like right on his timeline. So there's like a total reset when this like kind of wave is done. The Kyrie and I guess now AD combo. I mean, it's just you have to think of like weird stuff like that because like nothing else makes any sense. So maybe that's something. And yeah, it is so funny that like he's being cast now as like the like stable superstar to like stay in Dallas like to pair with AD. Like it's just what a turn. What a turn from a few years ago. It's really amazing.
My other thought I had was does LeBron get traded now?
I don't know. I mean, what's the point? I mean, I think they're just like this year, whatever. I mean, like we're just, it's fine. So we have our guy now. We have our guy. We don't have to tank. We don't have to do anything. We barely even had to trade anything. And we have a guy for 8 to 10 years. It's just like, yeah, I just think it's like a massive like home run for the Lakers. And like the pairing right now, I just don't think they care. I mean, it's like, hey, and if you're JJ, he's like, I get to coach this guy for the next, who he briefly played with, Luka.
That's true.
And so, you got to wonder if he's like, hey, this is awesome. I'll work on him. He admires LeBron so much, Luka. So like maybe LeBron can get in his head and be like, bro, this is what you have to do to actually, like, you want to play as long as I've played? Like, you do need to take better care of your body. You do need, like, that might be enough. And I would be like, if I'm a Mavs fan, I'm like, man, like, he's now going to be like pissed off. And it's like, he probably will get focused and he probably will get conditioned playing with LeBron and someone he actually looks up to. And yeah, I mean, he'll turn into an even better player. I don't know, man. I just like, I cannot believe it.
Like, who are the only now this whole trade begs the question, who are the truly untouchable players in the league? Like, are there just like two?
Wemby and Jokic.
Yeah, Wemby and Jokic, yeah.
Because it's like now after this, like, but then again, you can't assume that every front office operates the same way like the Mavs did last night. Like, I still think Shea is untouchable. I still think Jason Tatum's untouchable.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Last night was a huge like perspective changer, like
for sure.
And a huge night for the people who live on the trade machine like you, Mitchell. Like, there's no such thing as a crazy trade anymore. No such thing as a crazy trade,
and no such thing as a stupid trade anymore. Because I think that
this is a 2K trade. This is a 2K trade.
Absolutely.
That's been my favorite phrase the entire like past 12 hours of like that. This is a 2K trade. So
yeah.
Anyways, any other thoughts on this before we move on?
I'm good. I said my piece.
Yeah. It's just I mean, I'll keep wrapping my head around it for the next few days, few weeks, even.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's gonna be absolutely fascinating to see them on the court. I mean, it's just gonna be like, wow, Luka is on the Lakers, like the first time he plays them. It's just
how long is he out for? Like, he's still.
I think he's got a week. I think he's back.
Oh, really? I didn't realize he was that close to returning.
And the return to Dallas is like not that far away, right? Like I saw someone tweet like that's Yeah, and the AD to LA is like in 2 weeks, so
Crazy.
it's like right after the All-Star break. So yeah, I'm. What do you think the? Well, I mean, obviously he didn't ask for it, so I feel like the response in Dallas will be like a massive round of applause.
That'll be the welcome home video will have to be done real quick and really insane.
They've got to
Yeah.
be something like they've got to somehow send a message to front office while also like giving Luka like an insanely warm welcome back. Like I was like boycott the game, but it's like no, because then that I don't even know. Like you can't stand for this as a fan base. You
Or
just
like
can't.
chant, or do you just like chant his name the whole game? Like I mean, yeah, make it known. Like, man, we love this guy. Like, why did you do this?
So-
Like, how do you do that?
So the return to Dallas isn't until the third to last game of the season, April.
Okay,
9th.
okay. Oh, I
but
think the 81 is pretty quick. Yeah,
the 81 is at the end of February
Okay.
25th, which is a game on TNT. Which
nice. Well, and that'll be a warm reception. Like he was great there.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah,
I
one of
think
the titles.
so. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Pure and utter confusion, and also just I think the shock factor of it all is just what is crazy about it all.
Oh yeah, it's a where were you when moment in the NBA for sure.
Yeah.
Watching two different levels of basketball while my wife is asleep, and then her hearing "Oh my god," and then she's being like, "What's wrong with especially what's going on in the world right now?" And I was like, "Nothing terrible, just an NBA trade." She's like, "Oh," and then she fell right back asleep. So, love that woman. Anyways, thanks, Evan, for joining us. Appreciate you hopping on early this morning, Adam. I mean, we'll be back later tonight when we do the second half of this, but. Thanks for joining us, Evan.
Yep. Thanks for having me on. It was good.
Are you going to cover this on your pod now in 2 days?
I will. Tuesday morning.
Got to.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Yep. See you guys.